All right, welcome back. So we were plugging along, making our function to change the video routing when all of a sudden we hit a snag where we have to somehow convert our friendly name to an actual name. And like I said earlier, I don't want to do this with a bunch of if-then statements. I don't want to go down that route. I want something that will do the work for me. And we've already created two arrays that are so close to working for us. I want to leverage these arrays against each other. For instance, laptop 1 is on HDMI 1, right? Logo is on graphic 1. We put them in the same orders in both of the two arrays for a reason. If I can find the mailbox number of the thing that I want from the first array, I can use that mailbox number to go and find the actual name that I want from the second array. That's what we're going to do, using arrays with each other, okay? So, it's not that hard, actually, as long as you know you got the tools to do it. Let's build this into its own little function as well. We're going to create this special little function that converts the friendly name to the actual name and then spits out the actual name that we want. This is going to require a different type of function. Previously, our functions just run down their code and they execute the code. But this time, we want code that returns something to us. And when we go to our sandwich analogy, that's actually a better analogy. Because if you tell the guy at the sandwich station to make a sandwich with sourdough and chicken and pesto, and then he makes that sandwich for you, and then holds onto it and stares blankly over the counter at you, and doesn't provide you with the sandwich, that's not a good experience for anyone. You need him to return the sandwich, right? Make me a sandwich and then give me the sandwich back. I need the sandwich back in my hands. That's the kind of function we need. We need a function that gives you a sandwich. You know, I've always said that if Q-SYS could make me a sandwich, then it's the last thing that would make my life complete.
Well, you never said, could Q-SYS give me a sandwich? You just said make it.
Well, this one's making it and it's giving me a sandwich. So that is done with a special kind of function that's called the function with return. Let's grab a function with a return in here. This function with a return is going to have this little input block on the side. Whatever it does inside the function, you can then put something to return to the thing that recalled that function in the first place. And if you look back in our list of functions now, scroll down, you see that the first function that we made, our route UCI and update function, that has teeth on the top and the bottom. But our new function, it's an input block, isn't it? It has a tooth on the side. This entire function will resolve to just the thing that we return with. And we can use that to shove in to whatever line of code is awaiting an input. It's going to be delicious. Okay, so let's make this happen. This function, let's give it a name that describes exactly what it's doing. I'm going to call this function getActualName from friendly name. All it's doing is converting one thing to another. And that means that it does need an input of its own, right? Because it needs to receive a friendly name in order for it to run its little conversion tool. So let's add a input to this. And that input will be the friendly name. And we're going to run this function from our UCI button, right? So we're going to grab that function. We're going to run it in the actual name. And we're going to feed in the friendly name into the converter. Got it? Look at that again. We're running the whole function that changes the displays based on one friendly name and then based on this friendly name as it gets converted into an actual name to run our thing. Real easy. Now let's just make that conversion happen. So we talked through this earlier, right? We want to look in the first array, remember the mailbox number that we found the thing in, and then use that mailbox number to look in the second array. So first thing, let's use a variable to remember which mailbox number it is. I'm going to create a new local variable. And this local variable, we'll call it mailbox number of friendly name, okay? And we are going to then use a block to hunt in our array. Go to your arrays category, and we're going to do this one here. In array blank, find first occurrence of item. This entire block, once it finds the thing that it's looking for, this block resolves into the index number from where it found that thing. That's exactly what we're looking for. So I'm going to plug that in right here. in the array, which array? The array of friendly names, because we're looking at our friendly names. Find the first occurrence of what? Of this friendly name that we're looking for, right? So essentially, we're taking whatever name they picked on the UCI, feeding it into this function, which spits it out right here, finds its mailbox number, and now we're remembering that mailbox number. We're going to use that mailbox number to grab information from our other array, which lines up perfectly with the first one. So we will simply do exactly that. Let's make a second variable to remember what we got out of that second array. We'll call this variable the actual name. That's exactly what we're looking for. What will the actual name be? It will be the thing that we find in our second array. So in our second array, we're going to look in the array of actual names, and we're going to get whatever is in mailbox number that, right? We'll grab this variable that we just made. We'll use it as our mailbox number. We get something out of the array, and then what do? We return the actual name to the end of our function. Done. 2 lines. Look in one array, grab the mailbox number, pull up the information from the other array. Our conversion tool works perfectly. It brings in a friendly name, spits out an actual name, and then that will distribute that to both our UCI and our NV32H. Perfect. That's what we're looking for. So now, to finish off our event handlers, let's just duplicate this event handler. I'm going to right-click this, duplicate it, and change whatever needs to be changed for the right display. So when display to select, when we're pressing and changing something from the right box on our UCI, we're going to update the right, or number 2 display, with display 2's string as the friendly name, and display 2's string feeding through our converter for the actual name. 3 little clicks and we changed it. Now remember, what's glorious about this conversion tool is that this works no matter how long our arrays are. If we had 100 things in these arrays, it would still work because it's just looking through every single one of them until it finds the thing that we're looking for, pulls out the mailbox number, and then uses it on the second array. This is not an epic if-then statement. This is 2 lines of code that does exactly what we need for any possible number of index options in our arrays. Unbelievable. I love it. Okay, let's make sure this works. So we're in emulation mode. I'm going to go and look at my UCI. Give me a second while I split the screen from my emulator. Lights are on. Let's connect these HDMI cables. Look at that. Laptop 1 on the left display, laptop 2. There's the wireless, there's the room logo. Same thing with the other side. Laptop 1, laptop 2, wireless, and logo. This is working. If we go and we look at our debug, we can see this glorious debug which tells us which display was changed to which friendly name to which actual name all the way down the line. This is awesome. Now, what's not happening yet is what happens if the NV32H itself changes. What if someone comes into your code and hits this manually? Yes, it's going to actually route in the real world, but our UCI has not been updated. This should say it's on the logo right now, but we're not currently getting real feedback from the device to our UCI. So let's do that as well. There's a number of things that could potentially change the NV32H, right? So whatever they are, we all know that it's going to cause a change in the actual device. So as long as we're always getting information from the device, our UCI will always be up to date. Let's do that. Now this may sound like it's going to be as much work as it was to do the first half of that video routing, but realistically, we've already done all the work. We made our functions that does this work for us. We're just going to use the exact same functions. So I'm going to go back to my script here. I'm going to make some more room down here. And I'm going to go to the event handler for the actual device. So on named component, MU-NV32H, on its output 1, select by name event handler. When that changes, what are we going to do? We're going to run this same function that we built. We're going to order a sandwich. We've got the sandwich order. That's why everyone who walks into the shop gets the same list of things that they can order. It's really easy for the people who make the sandwiches to follow that list every single time. So I'm going to run my route video and update UCI function. What am I going to do? I'm going to use This is updating the first display. And in this case, I don't have the friendly name yet, but I do have the actual name, because the actual name is the string of that named component's set by name field. So it is the string of MU-NV32H, output 1, select by name string. Perfect. But this time we need to figure out how to convert that to the friendly name. We can't feed it into the same converter we already built, because that converter goes from friendly to actual. We need another converter that goes from actual to friendly. It's the exact same concept. And it's so easy, we're just going to duplicate what we did right here. I'm going to take my first converter, duplicate it, and we're just going to fix the things we need to fix. This one is going to be called get friendly name from actual name. The incoming argument is an actual name, right? This time I'm going to call the mailbox number of the actual name that we're going to remember as our variable. We're going to look in our array of actual names. We're going to find the first occurrence of this argument that we've already updated. Perfect. Then we're going to create a new local variable called the friendly name. And that one is going to be by looking in the array of friendly names. It's going to get that mailbox number. And what do we output? We output the friendly name. Piece of cake. Now we have a second conversion tool, and that one works as well too. So in fact, I'm going to collapse both of these because I don't need to worry about these conversion tools ever again. We'll go back up to our NV32H's event handler, and we will then run our other conversion tool of getting the friendly name from the actual name. And what are we feeding in as the actual name? We're feeding in that same string that we just used as the actual name. Ordering our sandwich, converting it along the way. And then when we need to duplicate this for the second output, it's the exact same idea. We just duplicate this, and we need to update the items that make sense for the right display. So when output 2 changes, right, we're going to say number 2 has changed. We're going to give it the actual name from output 2 on both of these inputs, and we are officially the nephew of Bob. That's the phrase, right? We're the nephew of Bob?
What?
Bob's your uncle. Bob's your uncle, and you're done.
I got it. I got it.
All right, let's make sure that one works too. So now we go back to our UCI. Now I'll go to HDMI 3, and then I look at the UCI. Yes, indeed, that has updated properly, even though the change came from within the building rather than from our UCI. It's working. It's all working, and it works at a scalable level for any number of inputs and outputs. We're looking great. Okay, we're not quite done yet. We have some automation that we want to do in this room as well. Right now, the video routing works perfectly, regardless of the inputs. But let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we will automate the things in this room that we want to anticipate for the needs of our user. See you in a bit.